Record this. Excellent. We're recording. Benny, thanks for popping in with me here.
Oh, such a always a pleasure, man. It's um like feeds my soul to be able to talk to you, D Ross.
Mm, likewise, likewise. Well, we were just chatting before we hit record about, when we met 2010. And
Yeah.
it's been 13 years, man.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Like you said, a hot minute.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I love how when we do connect, it's like time hasn't passed. And I I've appreciated the work that you've done since I first met you, and then all these years. I think this human trafficking thing is a hot topic for a variety of reasons, and it kind of goes through these cycles. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of people aren't aware that there's been folks out there fighting this for a very long time,
Mhm.
including, you. I was involved in little spurts here and there, different stages of my life at different capacities. But, this all kicked off, I was running this triathlon. We did this Move for Freedom challenge with Creative Life Foundation. So they're more on the prevention side of like helping kids get educated and help their parents get jobs, and so they don't have to deal with these things. But I think you're more on the rescue awareness, global, governmental side of things. And so I think it would be helpful just for some folks that have been on this, supporting me on this journey. We've raised over 5,000. I don't know the exact amount, but like between you guys and Creative Life Foundation, there's like some matching gifts that are coming in. But I just love for people to like to just get to know you and hear a little bit about your journey, how you got started in this thing, and then what you're up to now. And then maybe at the end you could share if there's folks out there that want to get involved, as a next step. Like, what can they do? What can people do practically?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great questions. For me personally, when we first started learning about this issue of human trafficking, I was like, how do we live in a world where there's, 8 to 11 million kids being raped every night? That was just kind of like it didn't fit within my own like worldview, and I started doing a deep dive into my own, past and reflecting upon things that I was going through, because that I had gone through. When I was 8 and 9 years old, I was sexually abused and raped by my neighbor. He was my cello teacher, and so I had kind of like buried that throughout my childhood, dealt with it in college, and then said, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my kids in the future, right? That nothing would happen to them. And that was kind of my inner vow. But when I started learning about this issue of trafficking and particularly child sex trafficking, I was like, God, how is that possible, right? And I felt right there, like pretty loud and clear, like it was, you know, I felt like God was saying to me, Ben, you didn't go through that pain just to protect your kids. You went through that pain so it can become a platform to show my power to the world. And so that's when I knew, like, hey, like we would be, giving our lives to this. And that's when we started our safe house. Um, and that grew into doing more restoration and aftercare programs, as well as our intervention programs, and then our prevention and awareness campaigns. So I think that's what's really key, and that really kind of differentiates the work that we do, is that we have a very holistic approach, a holistic model, um, from the individual to the organization, right? So we want to have a 360 approach. We want to cover all the bases when we're looking at this issue of human trafficking, because even if you rescued a child from the snares of a human trafficking, trafficker, right? They still need, to, you know, get their education, the medicine, and reconnecting with the family, everything, right? But what about all those other kids that are out there that we want to be able to like prevent from falling into the snares, right? So you have to have that prevention, intervention, restoration, like to really cover all of the bases. And that's right now we have 9 projects in those 3 areas. And that's really key for us. And then when you get down to the more granular level, right? When you're with our, survivors, how do you, have that holistic approach as well? Because we don't do anything cookie cutter. Everything is like individually based, it's personalized, and we're thinking about not only, okay, just, get them out of harm's way or get them out of the brothel, but we're also thinking about, well, how they're connecting with their families, what's in their past. Like, it's not only a psychologist that they need, but possibly they need, a psychiatrist, and they may need some medication, and what are their dreams, and helping them also maybe break down certain social, norms or expectations that they've been placed upon themselves or been placed upon them, right, culturally as well. Um, so we want to have the holistic approach from the individual, and then also throughout the institution. So that's a little bit about, what, who I am and what we do. And I think the key thing is, and I'll wrap it up with this, human trafficking is a very dark thing, dark injustice in the world. And the stories you hear, it's like, how is this possible? Like, it is some of the most gruesome things that I've heard in my life. We have to not only have a sobering, clear-minded approach to this and being very strategic in the work that we do, but I think one of the things that we've always hold on to is hope that gives us joy. Um, because if you're working with this day in and day out, which we are, right, you can get really like depressed or cynical or just like jaded, right? That's not the approach we have. We have an approach of extreme, actually, joy when we address this issue, because we've seen the lives transformed. We know what's around the corner. We know that there is hope. We know that there is a difference that can be made. And because we've seen the results, we focus on that. And so I think I just really wanted to mention that, because I know when you hear about the stories, or you've seen videos about it, or you've seen movies about it, it just kind of gets really, get really heavy. But it's a very serious issue, yes, but we have an approach that's really full of joy, because we know we've seen the lives transformed.
And how long have you been at it? Like, what, how many years now? I mean, it's like, it's been a while,
It's been 16 years. Yeah.
like years. And there's something that your wife said to you one time that really impacted me, probably more than anything. Every time I think about you, I think about that comment. Can you unpack that? You probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. She said, I asked her like early on, I said, hey, can I, like, I might die because of this. And because, here in our context in Mexico, we're dealing with narcos, we're dealing with sicarios, we're dealing with, well, I'll say narcos and sicarios, like the way it should be said. We're dealing with organized crime. Um, and, if you are, deliberately working against their revenue stream, you're a threat to them. Um, we don't see it as revenue stream, we see them as lives, and we see them as futures, and we see them as potential, right? So um we I told her, like, I might die because of this, and we've had death threats, um but I said, hey, I might die. She was like, that's okay, you know she was like, yeah, it's I was like, what? Like, I didn't expect, yeah, I kind of expect her to be like, I don't want to lose you, like, be like that. But I think for the both of us, right? Um, when you kind of find your purpose, you find like real meaning what you do. Um, you pay any cost. And that could mean like losing your spouse, losing your family. And um I'm not going to say I'm like crazy or courageous. Like, we take precautions, but we also don't shy in the face of evil. If we did, I mean, if all people like in throughout history, Nelson Mandela, MLK, you know, Gandhi, you know, Wilberforce, like the list goes on, right? You have to um, remain committed to that calling, to that purpose, right? And not shrink in the face of evil. You actually have to be you have to continue to push forward. And I I don't attribute it to like, oh, I'm just you know this very bold or courageous person. I I'll be honest, like I'm scared, you know. And when I think about my wife going into certain places or doing certain things, I get concerned. I get worried. I'm like constantly on the phone checking her location and making sure she's like responding. And if I call her and she don't pick up, I get upset. But there's something else within me that continues to drive us forward. Um, and it's this I think what it is it's just a selfless desire to see like a better future, not only for me, but mostly for my children and my children's children, and for everyone else. Like I honestly believe we're making a difference. Yeah.
Ooh, I got like 1 minute before I jump off on my next call. I got,
Okay. Yeah.
but I do want to like. There's a couple things. I know Kaio, a great friend of mine, has been with you. He's going through like he went through your justice school, him and his wife. Um, how can people get involved? Like, I mean, is there ways like financially, like someone's watching this right now, like I want to do something, right? I want to support an organization that has boots on the ground, working with the UN, has been doing this a long time and is strategic and trusted. So there's like, how can people give financially? How can people get involved if someone's like, I want to get involved, like I want to do something more than just give money? What does that look like for the Justice School? And I do got like 60 seconds here.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Here's my elevator pitch. You can go to justiceschool524.com. Or you can go to our website, elpozodevida.org.mx. That's elpozodevida.org.mx. But what I encourage people to do is, if don't just think of giving or taking the next step is towards me or towards our organization or towards another organization. I think the step that everybody needs to take is a step of courage and boldness to step into their purpose. And I believe that your purpose, or whoever's watching this, their purpose is for the betterment of society, for the betterment of this world, right? And as you do that, it will, because I believe in ecosystems. If you're a better business owner, if you're a better mom, if you're a better teacher, all this will work in concert collectively to make a better world and a better place for us to live in. So I would encourage people like, hey, be more purposeful in your life. Find that, walk in it, be bold, don't shy away from, making those jumps that you need to. But as you do that, I'm confident that whatever you do is going to make a difference in our lives here in Mexico.
Boom, mic drop. I I'm a big believer of be who you are, where you are, with what you have, and then that's how you live your design. Is like be fully you. Like
Yeah.
Dr. says, be yourself because everybody else is already taken. right? It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
any or do this. Like, what can you do right there where you're at? And all right, dude, I'm late. They're pinging me on this
All
on
right.
like, hey, where you at? Dude, this has been great. Let's
All
continue
right.
this conversation because I want to hear more about Justice School and how people
All
and
right.
other stories of how people can get involved. I'll
Yeah.
put some website stuff in here, the links and
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah. Part two coming soon.
yeah, let's not let it be 4 years again.
Yeah, yeah.
All
All
right,
right, bro.
brother. Thanks for the
All right,
call.
love you, man.
See ya.